Today's podcast is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Jackson.
Juanita, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, buddy?
I can't complain.
Can't call it.
I can't call it,
I was just thinking about that conversation we had the other day about all the relationship that's going on during COVID. So I said, what better person to have on my podcast today than my boy Jackson?
Oh yeah, man. I got a lot of insight and commentary on that. I mean, especially with like when you look at all the people. I read this article about how the online dating apps are like they're kind of exploding during this time. And I mean, I guess I don't know. I think that's kind of to be expected. Like that people would, without being able to go to bars and restaurants and go to work and all the social engagements that they would normally have to meet other people, that they would turn to the dating apps. But the question is, how far does it go after that?
Yeah, we've been experiencing COVID for since March, so we're like 5.5, 6 months now.
Yeah.
And I know people who've even decided, hey, let's go ahead and quarantine together, and make the most of it. And they're thriving. They're like, this is the best relationship I've ever been in.
But are they thriving though? I mean, you said you found people that are thriving.
Oh, they're thriving. They're like, this is the best relationship I've ever been in. I can't call it because I don't know. I look at it as trauma. You're in a traumatizing situation, and then you kind of don't want to be alone, so you just kind of link up with someone,
right?
And then when this is all over, I'm worried about the fallout.
Right, and you should be, because I kind of wonder when people say that this is the best I've ever had. I guess it would be if you're the kind of person that is okay with somebody being trapped in a space with you where they can't get out.
Right.
I for myself, I would prefer that the woman who I'm in quarantine with, that we not be quarantined, that she can come and go freely as she pleases, and if she wants to do something else, that she could do that too. Like I'd rather be with a woman who has kind of chosen to be with me amongst options, rather than being back wall. You don't have anywhere to go. So that's kind of I don't know. I mean, I guess some people are, if you can lock them in, you lock them in. You get them how you get them.
Now, interestingly enough, I had a young man. A man that I was, seeing, and he was like, we should, cohabitate right now. This is a time for us to come together and, put our all into it. This is one of those things that relationships are either, made or they're broken behind. And he had that kind of like anxiety driven, let's go ahead and be together type thing.
That's let me say that's slick talk to try to get in your drawers.
Here you go. No.
I'll just say that's what that's
no.
No. I don't know how else to say that.
He said, here you go.
First of all, was this somebody you were seeing before COVID?
Yeah, I was seeing him before COVID, but
you don't like what kind of goofy shit is that?
I thought to myself, oh my God, we're too old to talk like this.
Yeah, come on, man. We're not little kids.
So yeah, it was strange. So what it caused me to do was, just kind of back off completely and just kind of say, you know what? I have my family that I got to deal with during this time.
He literally tried to force a cohabitation out of a pandemic. Like, think about
He,
what we're saying here. Like, you try to force a relationship out of a distress. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's almost like,
his exact words to me were, we have to limit the amount of people that we're around. So, I mean, he said, I don't see, he said, he said to me, he said, we're not in high school. I'm, I'm not gonna, be putting you to bed on the phone,
he wanted
every night,
he wanted
so.
some in-house booty.
So he was like, I think that we should, kind of during this time, he said, and he would give me all these statistics. Like every other day, I would get some type of statistics during a text message. Like this could be going on for a year. He was like, do you think that we can honestly maintain the relationship that we have and let it grow with us just talking on the phone without seeing each other? And it was a lot. It was a lot to where I finally just said, you're right. How about, you just kind of take care of your family and I take care of my family. And then when all this is over, we'll just see where the chips may fall. If we're still there, we can say, hey, and
Listen,
continue on.
I don't want to get into the details about what y'all were doing, but
Mm-hmm.
my point with that is, with what he's saying, is that I understand from a man's perspective what he's saying in terms of like, if I am engaged in an intimate physical relationship with a woman, I'm not going to want that to stop for COVID. And at the same time, if we are working towards that, I want that to continue within COVID. But it is my feeling that I don't got to give up my house and my space to make that happen. What the hell are you talking about? Like,
I
yeah,
agree.
we can still see each other, like, as long as I can,
Yeah.
like, the trust that I want with you is to know that you're not out hanging at the bars and like
Hmm.
doing and engaging in risky professional interactions or social interactions that would expose you to COVID, thereby exposing me to COVID. But I'm not about to move into your house.
Here's the thing, and you probably get on me for saying this. I don't understand why all of a sudden we have to now be talking like be talking. We have to now talk like this is the end all to be all of any type of relationship. Like HIV and AIDS has been around forever, and I have never heard this man come to me and say we need to just be with each other and nobody else during this time. Like we've had diseases here that require us to just kind of be in a relationship with just each other physically if that's the route it's going to go. So, and then he started talking a lot about, saving money during the pandemic and not knowing who's going to lose their job. And this is a way that we can kind of, make sure we're both okay. And to me,
So
it was more about that to him. To me, it was more about that.
was he trying to get rid of his place and move in with you?
Or me move in with him. Cause he, oh God, it was just so much. In any event,
This sounds
it,
this
you've known me for a long time. I would never move in and
sounds,
cohabitate with any man without being married.
this sounds
And
embarrassing.
yeah, and marriage is nowhere near on the
Right. But I
agenda for
but
me.
but to that point, like, what do you think about, like, so with the whole dating app thing, like, people are meeting on there and they're forming relationships. Like,
Let me,
you know what I'm saying? I think that
let me.
and I think that where people, I understand where people are, like, at first, like, taken aback by that.
Mm-hmm.
There, and even more so during a pandemic. My question is, like, when you're talking about several months, you're talking about a year of this going on. Did we not think that people would need some sort of social, physical,
Hmm.
emotional interaction? And what better way to engage in that or to reach out and look for that than this? I actually I know a guy who just recently got a girlfriend.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
All through a dating app.
yeah, yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. I've never done a dating app before. And not because I'm like snooty behind it. It's just that I have grown children. And I always thought, oh, I don't want them to ever swipe and see me on the dating app at all.
Well, that's not
Um,
the apps work, though. I mean, like that. You're. I'm sure you're obviously. I don't think your children are looking for people in your age range. There's an age.
I don't put nothing past my son. Like I understand where you coming from, but I
Your
don't
son,
put nothing
your son
past him.
looking for a cougar, well
He might
established,
look for a cougar.
a well
I just
established
don't put
cougar.
nothing. Hey. I don't put nothing past him. I think his personality and his sense of humor is so out there that he would just go to see who's out there.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now, he would definitely do that. He would definitely
mm-hmm.
just to see if it was you on there. Yeah.
Yeah,
If he
and
got
then
if he got wind that you were on there, he'd definitely do that.
yeah, and then he would come mess with me. Oh, what you doing? Oh, I don't. No,
Yeah.
I tend not to want that to mix up. So I've never. And then again, since I've been divorced, I've never like had a space to where there wasn't someone I was kind of talking to already from just meeting them on my personal level, situations or whatever, to
Mm-hmm.
where I would have to go to a dating app. However, I am interested in the dating app if I can figure out a way. I don't know. They require
So
pictures.
you want to get on there, but you just want to be anonymous.
I want to be anonymous until I figure out.
Well,
I kind of,
well, let me
but I don't want to
well,
be.
well, let me
I don't
help
want
you
to be
out.
catfished or whatever.
Let me help you out. Let me help
Mm-hmm.
because you're not alone in that feeling. And as somebody who's been on the swipe apps from time to time, they all have functionality that allows you to be live and be visible when you're using it,
Mm-hmm.
and then disconnect your accessibility when you're not using it. Do you understand?
Huh. I understand, but Jackson, here's my thing. What would happen if I'm like, hey, okay, let's do this live FaceTime thing, and their picture is just not a good representation of who they are live, and then my facial expression when I first see that.
Well, listen, you can't be scared of everything all your damn life. If you're not grown enough to say to somebody's face at this point, "Hey, look, I don't think I like you." You,
You know what?
you
You are, but you a serial dater though, so that comes easy for you.
what that mean?
You know what it means.
No, I don't. Don't a serial dater.
Yeah,
What's that?
you like dating. You like the newness of dating.
I mean, I don't even know what that means.
Hey,
What are you trying to say when you say that? Like, of course, like
I mean,
if you're look, I'm supposed to just like find. Listen,
uh-huh.
you want me to just recycle the flow with women I've dated previously, like, or
Oh, I've been knowing you for 30 years, and one thing that I know that you don't do is recycle any flow.
I don't, I don't.
Yeah,
So there you go.
you like the newness.
It's
You like
newness. I mean, well, anybody likes meeting new, beautiful women.
yeah
Doesn't like that.
yeah. You like them every 3 4 months.
See, now you're talking in a way. Like you talking in a way that kind of like addresses my life in a way that I don't think I approve of what you're trying to say right now.
Okay. Maybe my bad. My bad. Maybe I just didn't
No,
listen.
getting kind of sassy.
Okay.
Getting kind of
No, maybe.
no, but
I don't know.
what I'm trying to say is that like if you're going to date, you can't be afraid. I mean, listen, you have your own personal interests first until you get into a relationship with somebody else where you start putting each other's interests in the same, right? So
Right.
you can't be ashamed to say that, you know what, I don't think that we connect, or I'm not attracted to you. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. And you can say those things in a very respectful manner. And you just can't, we just too grown to be worried about, how badly it's going to hurt somebody. Or you can just not answer the phone no more when they call. That's an
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So, in my from my point of view, a COVID relationship would be amazing. One that didn't require the normal COVID relationship, which is the move in, the U-Haul, which is what a lot of individuals are doing, and some it's working out for them. Like I said before, I'm scared of how that's all going to end when this is all over with, and people's feelings are different. One person may be truly in love, and the other person just may be drowning and need air.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
bigger concern is I just don't want nobody moving in my house. I don't,
yeah.
like I'm okay with meeting with people meeting during. I mean, I'm not big on cohabitation in a pandemic or not in a pandemic.
That's what we share in common there.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't move.
Yeah.
You can leave a few things over here, but you can't stay.
Oh, I don't even want you to know where I live really, but
Well, you're a
that's
weird.
a
That's weirdo stuff. Like,
I'm not a weirdo. I was married for a long time. I'm
mhm.
broken.
That's the excuse we giving people. You broken. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the truth. Ask my therapist. I am a broken woman, and
Well,
and it takes more than a new man to fix that. I have to
I
get therapy.
I don't think. Uh, I don't think that a man should date you if you're broken. I think you should fix
Mm.
yourself and let the chips fall where they may after that. But
I think that you have your part right. I don't think a man should date me seriously. I think we should just date
I don't
and
think he should
just.
date you at all.
Oh no, that's not acceptable.
Well,
Not at all.
not look
Mm-mm.
for you. It's probably in his best interest.
Now here's the thing with you and I. It's really crazy that you would say this about me when all I'm telling you is that I've had a bad experience
Right.
and I'm healing, so I don't want to be in a serious relationship. And you're judging me on that.
I'm not judging you.
However,
I'm not judging.
you are the guy who won't even commit. Crickets. Not that.
These aren't crickets. These are just like you the space to say whatever good bullshit you're about to say. I don't even. I can't even. So because I've never been married, that means I have a commitment issue. Is that what you try to say?
Oh no, baby. I'm not saying because you've never been married. I'm saying because you have a you have an expiration date on a relationship that you start before it even begins.
No,
Now,
that's a
oh,
lie. You're a lie. That is a lie.
okay,
That's
okay,
an
okay.
untruth.
I'm a lie and you're a
Expiration
good
dates
little
don't
boy.
start for
Okay.
people
Mm-hmm.
until you realize that the relationship just ain't gonna work out.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's people just got to be honest enough to say that this ain't gonna work, and ain't no
Oh,
trying to force
yeah.
when it ain't
Yeah.
gonna work, and I can see it ain't gonna work.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You don't for whatever reason that might be, like you don't take off your shoes when you come in my house. Like I don't like that. It
Oh,
don't work.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
I get it.
So I mean, shoot.
Jackson,
You got-
you are a very attractive man. Very, very attractive, like a centerfold almost. Um,
Let's not.
physically, we're speaking physically, and then you're intellectually.
I appreciate you saying that, but let's not jump too far into that water. Like,
I mean,
yeah.
for a man of your age and your stature,
Whoa, now, hold on now.
you're
Now,
top tier. You're
now,
top tier.
but listen, listen. I don't want to go overboard, but don't denigrate me by into an age. What the hell kind of nonsense talking?
No, seriously, no, no. All jokes aside, no, you're a very attractive man.
Thank you, thank you.
So, and intelligence
All
is
right.
is top tier with you. So,
With,
I would say that when you have dated in the past, um, I've seen that you have high standards. Maybe is that what it is?
I, I don't even know where you're going with this right now. What,
I understand that you don't know where I'm going,
right.
but you have high standards, right?
Well, I have standards comparable to your standards. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
No, 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 not at all. No, 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 you don't.
I have
I've
I have standards of decency. I expect people to be nice. On
Whoa.
people who appreciate
Mm-hmm,
how nice I am.
mm-hmm.
So like I mean, like that's if that's high standards, yeah, I guess yes, I have high standards. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And like even right now during the COVID, you don't have anyone that you are willing to cohabitate with at this time during the pandemic. No?
Are you asking me that, or are you telling me?
Yeah, yeah. I'm asking. I'm
Well,
asking.
what do you mean by cohabitate with?
Y'all don't want to just come together since we're in the pandemic, and that's
Oh
gonna be the
yeah,
only person that you're
but
seeing during the
I don't.
pandemic. Y'all don't want to live
But
together.
no, but I don't. I wouldn't let a woman live in my house outside of the pandemic. So that's not a good measuring stick right there. I
Mm-hmm,
don't believe in
mm-hmm.
cohabitation.
Neither do
Yeah,
I.
cohabitation is a function of like not a function of it's a behavior that I would only participate in when I knew I was getting married.
I would only participate in it after I was married.
Yeah. Like I would move forward with it. Upon an engagement date, upon a marital date. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Like
So you would want to be married. You would want to be living together before y'all got
I
married.
don't need to be, but I'm saying I'm okay with
Oh.
it before then because I know how things work when you have a place, I have a place, we're cutting bills. When you join somebody and you say you want to get married, like you got to start thinking about the fiscal ramifications of that. So it's good to kind of like cut costs and save money and start working in that capacity. So I'm okay with that, but I'm not I'm not okay with I like you, you like me, let's split the bills. That doesn't make good sense to me.
Yeah. And then during the COVID, do you think that a lot of men are making this decision, or do you see more women vulnerable to cohabitation during COVID, or do you see that it's just mixed, like men and women are willing
Well,
to?
let me tell you this. I live in DC and I haven't seen a whole lot of cohabitation.
Okay.
So I don't know. But I don't think that I maybe in my circle of association see as much cohabitation outside of COVID either. So,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, I'm in Texas. Now, one thing that I've noticed, I didn't see it outside of COVID, but now that COVID is happening, I do see a lot of more people, especially men, with some of my cousins and relatives who were not in serious relationships where they were cohabitating prior to COVID are now there.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I do notice that. And I notice a lot of women who are just, what's that term my mom used to use? The nose are just wide open, like
Yeah.
they're doing this together,
Yeah. Seeing an opportunity, you got to jump.
hmm
Yeah, I get it.
you know,
And I just,
and yeah, I hear you.
I don't
Some
want
of,
nobody living in my.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just don't want nobody living in my house. I unless I know what that whole thing is going to be like. And that's not me being, you know, obstinate to what it is for some people. I just think it is a bad. I think I think living together is bad for relationships. I think
I
I think
I share
everybody
that.
I think everybody needs to have their own place to go
Yeah.
until you have made the full on commitment to be with one another. Like halfway commitments don't because let me tell you what happens. Once people start to live together, they start to commingle finances. They start to enter into
Right.
agreements and contracts together because you're living together. You're playing house, but you're still in a space where you're not all the way in it. So there's always a foot that can be jumped out the door. Next thing you know, you done bought all this furniture together. You got to split that up. You've entered a new lease that you got to break. You know, somebody has gotten used to paying for the groceries while somebody else is paying the electric. These are things that, like, when people split apart, they cause greater distress to your decision
hmm
to leave.
Yeah.
So now, let's say a woman moves in here with me and I'm paying the mortgage and she's paying like the cable bill and the light bill.
Yeah.
Right, right. You see how ridiculous that sounded? So let's say she's paying that. So now she starts to get on my nerves and
Yeah.
we're not getting along and we don't need to be together anymore. She doesn't want to break up now because she's living too good. You
Yeah.
understand? Now she got to
It's
go.
beneficial for her to be
There
there.
you go. You
Yeah.
understand?
hmm
And people do that all the time. Like, you just you if you're going to be with somebody, if I'm going to be with somebody, I want it to be exclusively based upon their desire to be here, not because of not because of a situation I've kind of like backdoored them into to make their
hmm
life easier. I know that marriage is part of that. Like, people don't
hmm
marry people to not have an easier life, but that comes on the back end of a relationship, not on the front end, to me. So
Now you tapped into something I definitely want to kind of get into on another episode. I wish you would come back for, and that is the expectations of dating over a certain age. And some of the things that you just talked about are some of the things that a lot of my female friends who are my age and your age are feel as if that they are owed that in a they deserve less stress because they are a certain age. And I definitely want to delve into that because that's pretty interesting.
you know what my question is
Um,
when people tell me what they deserve? You know my
go get it. What have you done for yourself
No, no,
to get
no,
it?
no. Like, whenever people tell me what they deserve, I say, "Who told you that?
Yeah.
Who told you that? Did you tell yourself that? Because if you told yourself that, then you should answer that for yourself. Only like what the things you tell yourself are things that only really matter to you. You can't force those things to matter to somebody else. You
You know, it's hard to me, and this is just my own personal opinion, and I don't say this is how everyone feels, but I was married for 21 years. And to me, being in a relationship is more than cohabitation. And the cohabitation part of it is a major part of it. And you have to literally be ready mentally to do that with someone. Um, and you have to, and I think that at times, especially now that I've been living by myself for the last 7 years, that we have selfishness in our nature. You know what I'm saying? And if I was to get remarried and let someone and just kind of live with someone else again, there's a lot of selfishness that I have to let go of. And that's a lot. That's hard. And I don't think people think that it is. I think they just think, oh, we're just gonna live together and run around in the sunset and just be together. And that's all that really matters. But when you start, as you said, putting finances together and kind of making plans together, budgeting together, that starts to feel like more so like, permission than it does
Right, right.
a partnership.
Yeah, yeah.
And coming from someone who's been, financially stable and on their own for, 7 years after getting out of a marriage, that's not something that you like run back. It's almost seems like prison. Like you don't want to run back into that
Mm-hmm.
situation unless you know that you are on the same page with the person that you're getting in that situation with.
Right.
And not saying that I regret being married, because I loved being married. I loved being a wife to my then husband. But it's a situation to where you kind of like your kids. We were kids, and we had to learn all this stuff. And then you kind of have kids, and then you're like, I want to go home, but you got these kids and you got this marriage, and you are home. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? My mom told me that a lot of times. I'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I would just panic. I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, it's just too much. I can't. You are home. You can't come back here. You are home. And I don't think that growing up, that was told to me. Like I didn't have a real um, education in marriage, which I should have. You understand what I'm saying? I should have been sat down just like you're sat down and told about, being structured and being presentable and being respectable and being ready to go out and have a job and work for someone and build yourself. You should be told about finances, and you should be told about marriage and what's expected of you. I don't think that you can literally go in that situation knowing what you're walking into and think, oh God, this is something that I really want. And I'm not trying to dispel the fairy tale, because Cinderella
That,
is a nice
that,
story.
that's what you need to do. You need to dispel the fairy tale.
No, I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to dispel it to where I'm saying that there's no romance involved at all. I'm saying that the realness of it has to be as equal as the fairy tale, as the romance. But I have I have a 26-year-old and a 23-year-old. My 23-year-old came to me one time and told me he wanted to get married, and I was just like, oh, that is not it. And then I started feeling like the demon in his story, because I felt controlling, but it wasn't control as much as experience, to where we haven't even had these conversations about what it takes to be married mentally. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that I had to just like pray about. And then I realized that that was my fault for not having that conversation with him yet.
Right.
And then going back, after it didn't happen, and thanking God. And then now trying to, in this space that we have now, so always talk about what it takes to be married, what is expected of him as a husband, about mental space, even little conversations. We play, video games over the computer together live. And I'm like, sometimes when you're married, this just may not be an option to come home to and unwind and play your video game.
Right.
So you have to start putting yourself in a space to where you're thinking for that other
Yeah,
person
you can
before
be
you kind of jump into
you
it.
can be okay with that.
Yeah. But I appreciate you for coming on the podcast today. I really enjoyed you. I want to bring you back so we can talk about dating over 40, and how that experience works for you. And I definitely want to share some things on how it works for me and expectations, and to get into the whole cohabitation thing, because I've learned the older I get, that's just an automatic gimme with people.
Shit.
Like, oh,
Shit.
let's go ahead and knock it up and
Hey,
we're together.
hey,
Yeah.
hey. Shit. It ain't no,
And I'm old school, Jackson.
it
I'm gonna tell you, I have a
ain't no gimme
problem
over
with men moving in with women.
here. But
I'm old school with that. I'm like, why you gotta move in with me?
well, uh,
So we
uh,
gotta talk about this, buddy.
yeah, that's a whole different discussion for a whole.
That's a whole different discussion. I really want your opinion on that. So we're gonna have to set up a time to come back and talk about that. I appreciate you coming on
Yeah,
today.
my pleasure.
All right, you take it
All
easy.
right, bye.
All right.